Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be part 11. Part 11 of the Dinosaur and Man presentation. And this one here, we're going to be getting into the Ice Age. The Ice Age. And so I have my heater on right now. It's funny we're talking about the Ice Age because this morning when Sandra and I got up to take the dogs out, it was 46 degrees out. I think right now it's about 66 degrees outside. And that's pretty darn chilly for this time of year. Here in June in North Carolina, we deal with a lot of humidity in the summertime. It'll take your breath away. But any rate, guys, we are going to get into the Ice Age. And the question is, did the Ice Age kill off the dinosaurs? Now, I've had Christians tell me that they believe the Ice Age killed off all the dinosaurs. There's no dinosaurs alive because of the Ice Age. And so we're going to look at that. And so if you'll notice this chart here, now that chart to the right that you see, that's from Juby. Juby, he has a YouTube channel called Wazulu. And if you'll go to his YouTube channel, man, you guys are going to get your plates full. Very, very talented man. Good friend. He's done some creation displays for me, and not only me, but for museums, and just an incredible guy. Knows a lot about robotics and all. And so, but check him out. Check him out. It's IAN Juby. And he really goes into the creation topic in depth, has a video series, is also a creation speaker, and travels around. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below for my YouTube people, and for my Facebook people, I'll put a link in the description also for you guys. If you guys want to check him out, you will not be disappointed. But he allowed me to use this chart here. But if you'll notice here, that word Pleistocene, you'll notice I'll have a mammoth circled there. It means most recent. It means most recent. That right there is your Ice Age. Whenever you hear Pleistocene, that's your Ice Age. Now, I'm using secular time frame here. They believe the Ice Ages were 1.6 to 2.6 million years to 10,000 years before the present time. And so we're going to go through some of that right now. The five main Ice Age periods, now this is a uniformitarian view, and that basically means slow and gradual. Whenever you hear the word uniformitarian, they basically look at things like the Grand Canyon. And though creationists, our view is the biblical worldview, we believe that Grand Canyon was cut out in a short amount of time. There's a little bit of controversy on exactly when that was. Some believe it was water runoff during the flood or right after the flood, and some believe it was sometime after the flood when two lakes breached and washed it out in just a matter of time. I'm just off the top of my head, I'm wanting to say it was Hopi Lake and Grand Lake. I may be wrong on those names, but I'm wanting to say those were the two lakes that they believe that breached cut the Grand Canyon out. And the evidences of those lake beds are still there. They're still there, and you can see them. But if you'll notice here, they have the five main there. It dates from 2.2 to 2.4 billion years ago, and then it goes all the way to the 10,000 to 2.6 million years ago. Now that's the secular worldview, and so the only one that would fall in any biblical timeline, as far as the approximate creation age range, would be that last one, the Pleistocene. We're not saying it was 10,000 to 2.6 million years ago. We're saying it was about 4,500 to 3,800 years ago is when the Ice Age was. Now, the secular worldview said it was that it's believed that the entire earth was covered at least twice during the late Precambrian, also called the snowball Earth. They call it the snowball Earth. They believe the entire Earth was covered in snow and ice. And so that was about 520 to 950 million years ago. Now, the secular worldview, I'm still following what they're saying. In the 1960s, there were over 60 theories on what caused the Ice Age. It used to be taught that there were 4 ice ages. Now it's 30 that happened 2.5 million years ago. They believe there was a glacial phase, which is a cooler time, which was 90,000 years, and then an interglacial phase, which was a warmer time, that was 100,000 years. Greenland's ice sheet formed several million years ago, and Antarctica's ice sheet started forming 40 million years ago and has reached its peak and has been at equilibrium for 15 million years. Okay, now the creation. Whenever we're talking about the creation, the biblical world view about the Ice Age, we're saying that the Ice Age happened. If you'll notice on this chart here, go over to the top, and right there on that blue one where it says 2400 BC, the flood, about 4,400 years ago. If you'll look right above that, there's that little box that says the Ice Age. It was about 700 years after the flood, and it took 500 years to form, and then 200 years of meltback. And so that is, now there is controversy even amongst creationists on when the Ice Age happened. And some believe it was a little bit sooner than that. And so at any rate, we're still talking right around that same time frame. And so, the popular timeline is the one that I gave you. 500 years after the flood, it took to form, and then now there's 200 years of meltback from that. So added together, it was about 700 years after the flood. And this is the Ice Age coverage. This is a map of it. It covered about 30% of the land. So if you look at all that land, you'll see the white covering the land. It was about 30% of the land is what covered it. And now this right here is without that Ice Age coverage. You'll notice all of those dots in the middle. You'll see each one of those dots represents a dinosaur-like animal. And so your white dots would be more of like your Apatosaurus. That would be South America. You got Africa, the Congo swamp area, and then up in Asia area, and then down below, just above Australia. Those are reports of Apatosaur type or like dinosaurs. Now, we're not talking about 80-foot dinosaurs here. We're talking about smaller dinosaurs. They're not going to get near the size that they were in the fossil record. So we're talking about something that, as far as the eyewitness testimonies, that range anywhere from a large hippopotamus to an elephant. That's about the sizes that they have, that supposedly the testimonies that they say that they've seen these animals get the size that they've gotten to. Now, the red ones are your stegosaur type animals. And so you got the in Africa, in the Congo swamp type area. And we're going to go through these later on in this, later on. It's going to be sometime during during this presentation. I will hit on dinosaurs that are possibly still alive. But then you got in Cambodia, you got what's called a Cambodia stegosaur, which is a carving, and I'll show you more on that when we get to that area. But they have a carving of what it looks just like a stegosaur, y'all. I'm just amazed. And then there's other types of dinosaurs in the blue. But if you'll notice, these are within the equator, right in the middle of the planet, where there's no ice. There would be no ice coverage. And so the dinosaurs wouldn't necessarily be affected. The Earth would probably be a bit cooler, but still, right where that equator is, the dinosaurs seem to have been doing just fine. And that's where we get the eyewitness testimonies of today. And so now it is interesting that when I was kind of charting out some of the sightings, the plesiosaur-like creatures is more in your cooler environments, the cooler environments on the globe. And so most of them are. And down there you got the a picture of the plesiosaur, which is the long neck, flippers, big body. That's what your plesiosaur is going to look like. And of course, we've all heard of stories of that ships saying that they saw sea monsters and stuff like that. And of course, the even Champ, Lake Champlain, Champ, that is supposedly the one to the right. That is supposedly an actual photograph of Champ, and so what very well could be Champ, which could be a plesiosaur, and that's a very famous photograph there. And the thing is, when we talk about dinosaurs in the water, or they could, dinosaurs that are still alive in our oceans and stuff like that, we need to remember that God was only after the animals and the creatures that were on dry land. Now, even though, again, I will say this, in the fossil record, there have been aquatic life fossilized in whales and stuff like that. And again, when we get into Noah's Ark and the flood, I'm going to get into some of the amazing places that they have found whales, and even in the mountainous areas. And there's a reason that why I give reasons and evidence on why they are in the mountains. I don't want to go into that right now, or this video is going to be way too long. I'm going to end up getting a good rabbit trail. But there has been aquatic life that has been destroyed also, because you've got the entire planet in a catastrophic event that has never been on our planet at all, even since then or before then. And you got underwater landslides, volcanic activity. I mean, it's just the earthquakes, and things will die in the ocean, just as though they died on land. But the aquatic life would have the ability to survive because they're already in the water. And so God's destroying the world with the flood. The animal life in the water is going to be just fine. And most of them, for the most part, is going to be fine. Though, like I said, some of them have been destroyed because we got the fossil record to show it. And so, but at any rate, guys, we're going to stop right there. And so, that is my answer, for did the Ice Age destroy the dinosaurs? And so I say no. And it was, like I said, most of them were destroyed during the flood. But most of all the other animals were destroyed during the flood. And so there's only 2 of some and 7 of others that were on the ark. And then they came off and repopulated the planet. And so, there are animals that came off the ark that are extinct now, other than just most of your dinosaurs. And the reason I say most of your dinosaurs, because in Africa, they have reported dinosaur-like animals that are still alive. And I don't want to get into more. We will be talking about that, and I'll show you some maps and charts and stuff like that. It's really interesting when you look at it, just how big Africa is and how a large portion of it has never been really had any human feet in it. It's never been journeyed into. And so, but it's really dangerous and stuff like that to go into some of these areas, but it's never really been explored, a lot of it. And so they don't know what's in there, but they're discovering all types of stuff all the time. And so within those areas, deep in those jungles, there's been reports of dinosaurs and dinosaur-like type of animals have been described. It's just amazing when you really start to talk about it. And then, of course, you got the plesiosaurs. And so these babies have been reported. You know, the Loch Ness Monster is one of them. And there's some other types that we're going to talk about that have been reported in, times past. And that is just, could these survive? Could these survive? Well, they're already in the water. Now, even though some of them have been fossilized, they're aquatic. They're aquatic life. And so to have somebody say, hey, I saw something that sure looked like a plesiosaur, it really is not that far-fetched, guys. It really isn't. And so, but at any rate, I hope you've enjoyed it. We are going to start getting into the dinosaurs. I'm looking at my presentation now, and we're going to get the next video. We're going to get into the dinosaurs. And so I hope you guys stick around. It's going to get really, really interesting. You guys take care. Bye-bye.